Now, The Guardian has recently reported on a sharp rise in death rates among white middle-aged Americans that is actually claimed, and this is really significant here. That is claimed nearly as many lives in the past 15 years as the spread of AIDS in the United States. Wow, what's going on here? Okay. Well, according to the research, this trend has hit less educated 45 to 54-year-olds the hardest, with no other groups in the United States as affected and no similar declines seen in other rich countries. So that last part, super important. See, this is worldwide, right? This isn't happening in Sweden, it's not happening in Finland, Denmark, the UK. This is an American problem. This is an American problem, and that's really an important fact that I want you to keep in mind as you hear more of the study. So, first of all, what's going on here? Why? Well, the researchers are saying that even though it's not fully understood, the increased deaths are largely thought to be a result of more suicides as well as the misuse of drugs and alcohol. They also say it's driven by easier access to powerful prescription painkillers, cheaper, higher quality heroin, and greater financial stresses. Now, the findings emerged from a review of national surveys in the U.S. and 6 other rich industrialized countries. So they're just looking at the richest countries, the 6 richest countries in the world, namely the UK, Australia, France, Germany, Sweden, and Canada. Now, they showed that from 1978 to 1998, the mortality rate for U.S. whites aged 45 to 54 fell by 2% a year, a figure much in line with improvements in health seen in other countries. So for a while, it's pretty good, right? But after 1998, the death rates of U.S. white people began to change. While other countries saw their mortality rates continue to fall, they actually began to rise among middle-aged white non-Hispanic Americans by 0.5% a year. The effect was not confined to the 45 to 54-year-olds. In the 35 to 44-year-old bracket, the mortality rate actually stopped falling in 2000. For 55 to 59-year-olds, the fall slowed to 0.5% a year. Now, the rise in death rates, and this is in the report, the rise in death rates among middle-aged white Americans means that 500,000 people more have died in the U.S. since 1998 than if the previous trend had continued. The death toll is comparable to the 650,000 Americans that lost their lives during the AIDS epidemic from 1981 to the middle of this year. Wow, that is staggering. That is a staggering amount. Now, 2 of the researchers found that death rates from drugs, alcohol, and suicide had risen for middle-aged white men and women across all educational backgrounds. However, less educated white people bore the brunt of this trend. According to the report, for those with a high school degree or lower level of education, deaths from drug overdoses and alcohol poisoning rose fourfold. Suicides by 81%. And deaths from liver disease and cirrhosis of the liver by 50%. Wow, that is significant and disastrous. For the least educated group, deaths from all causes rose more than a fifth. Only for those with a bachelor's degree or higher did overall death rates continue to decline. Now, another possible cause that they cite is the surge in the use of painkillers as a contributing factor, with drink and suicide potentially related to people needing relief from pain or mental health problems, but they suspect that financial stress is involved too and actually might be a major factor, with the fall of household incomes among white non-Hispanics being particularly tough on those with no more than a high school education. It may be, according to one researcher, that they have less hope about their ability to give a good life. So what this suggests, right, and they say it right in the paper, and actually I want to quote one of the researchers. If what is happening here is an epidemic of despair, that people on the bottom of the economic heap are being increasingly left out as inequality expands, then what we are seeing is just one more terrible consequence of slow growth and growing economic inequality. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. Remember, In America, we have a staggering level of income inequality, more than we've ever had before. Now, you look at some of the other countries that they looked at, right? And they looked at the countries of the UK, France, Australia, Germany, Sweden, and Canada. Countries with more generous safety nets, more health care, universal health care, and less income inequality. And then you look at America. They don't have those problems, but we do. We do. And it's hitting uneducated white people especially hard. Especially hard. Look, and if what they suggest, that middle-aged white people without college degrees are drinking and taking drugs and committing suicide because of mental health related issues, as well as not being able to make enough to survive or provide for their families, that's a huge, huge implication. Huge. And I want to go into why. Because these are the people that overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. Republican policies have been shown to make income inequality much, much worse. And these are the same people, by the way, who want to, quote, take our country back. And yet they don't realize that this country, through the Republican Party and some Democrats, have actually been hijacked by corporations and a very, very few wealthy people sitting at the top. They don't realize that. They also don't understand that the jobs that they used to be able to make a living on and, you know, provide for their families. You work one job, it's a union job, it's a good job, manufacturing mostly. Well, those are gone. Outsourced by shitty trade deals negotiated by corporatists. And maybe some of them do realize this, but they continue to vote for people who crush unions, drive down wages, and endorse deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. As well as these people, these politicians also try to cut their Medicare and Social Security and make sure that they don't even have health care, like mental health care. The point that I'm getting at is they don't realize how Republican policies, the very ones that they're voting for, are literally killing them. If this report is true, if their findings are true, and once again, they're not for sure, but they're looking at this and saying, well, these appear to be some of the factors. But the thing about this too, the irony about this is they blame the liberals, they blame poor people, they blame the gays, and they blame women for what's going on with them. And they do that while these politicians that they're voting for literally pick their pocket, crush their union, destroy their retirement, and actually privatize everything they can get their grubby little hands on. And these are the people, the voters, are the ones that let it happen. They're the ones that let it happen. However, there is a good side. This can be reversed. This can be reversed. These people, we can get together and we can take the country back from this establishment, from these corrupt politicians, from the corporations, from the very, very rich. And we can do that. We can take that back. And I think Bernie Sanders seems to be the only one that I think can get it done. Now, will that be the only thing? No. We also need to get money out of politics so they can get the control taken away from them through their massive ability to bribe politicians and get them to do only their own interests, their own bidding. We can do this. And there are ways we can do it. And we can fix this broken system and get the government back to serving us and not the corporations.